This is not about finding the perfect house. This is about avoiding the ones that can be a drain on your bank account. You don't have to be a contractor to spot a bad house. If you know what you're looking for, you can eliminate the bad ones within a minute of seeing the house. This is also not a way to avoid having a home inspection. You definitely have to get a very good professional inspector to inspect the house. This is just to help you so that you don't get emotionally involved in a house before you get too far into it. Before you even step into the house, you should already be forming an opinion. On the way to the house, you're going to want to notice, traffic. You're going to want to notice the neighborhoods. How does it look? Is it well kept? Are the streets well kept? Are there people parking on the street? What do the driveways look like? Are they big enough so that when you have guests, if you plan on having guests, if that's something you like, are they going to have room to park, or are they going to have to park on the street? In Iowa winters, parking on the street and parking really matters a lot because of the snow plows and the snow, and you want to be able to be in a place where the snow plows can clear the streets effectively. It just really matters. You're also going to want to look at, are you near a busy intersection? Are you near a busy street? What about the road noise? What about the view? Are you right next to an unsightly water tower or a high rise or a parking lot or something like that? You can fix structural problems on the house, but you can't fix the location. So you want to make sure that you like where it is and how it feels and what the neighborhood looks like. You want to look at the neighbors and how they're taking care of their house. Do they park a camper in the front yard and leave it there? Not the front yard, but the front driveway. Are there boats parked in the driveway? Does that bother you? I lived in a house for 15 years that had my neighbors kept a camper parked in their driveway. It didn't bother me a bit. That bothers some people. Just know that kind of thing, if it doesn't bother you, that water tower next to your house, that might not bother you. I don't think it would bother me. But, for resale value, you're going to want to take a look at that. Also, neighbors and how they keep up their house, that's something that's out of your control. Unless there's a strong HOA and there are rules against, parking a camper in the driveway, then you're kind of out of luck. That's out of your control. So you want to look out for those kind of things. And anyway, that could save you from, a bad house. So before you walk into the house, as you're walking up or even as you're driving up, you want to look at the roof. Does it look old? Can you tell if it's been replaced recently? Are there multiple layers of shingles on this roof? Can you tell whether or not there's been, sagging roof lines, or can you tell whether or not there's been ice dam damage on the edges, fascia problems? Those are all things that are indications that you've got a problem with your roof, and roofs are not cheap to replace. So you definitely want to look at it and be real cognizant of what the roof looks like. Also, you're going to want to look big, beautiful trees, but trees can be a problem if they're maybe touching the roof or touching the house. You're going to want to get those trimmed back. Large trees, can be a major problem, and they're expensive to take down. Branches falling on the house, limbs scratching the roof as the wind blows, damaging the roof. Roots can be a problem in your septic systems. I've had that many, many times. And hopefully you can figure all this stuff out. But if there are trees near the house, it makes a house beautiful. I love large trees, but you got to be careful. Also, you want to look at, the foundation. Are there large cracks in the foundation as you walk up to the house? Are the downspouts from the roof, do they pour water right next to the house, or are they properly done where they push water away from the foundation? In Iowa here, we got basements, so water really does matter a lot. So when you walk into the house, you're going to want to slow down. First thing you want to notice is, what's the smell like? Does it smell musty or kind of soggy? You also want to think about if there's a strong air freshener in the air. What are they trying to cover up? So you're going to want to notice that. I don't have a good sense of smell, so if I smell it, then I'm going to point it out. It could be a big red flag. Of course, you're going to notice the open entryway or the light coming through the windows, beautiful vaulted ceilings, making it feel really nice, and that's great. But you also want to slow down, take a look at the floors. Wood floors, are if there are any black stains on the floor or water stains. You're going to want to look at that. Is there any buckling? Have they replaced a portion of it? And why did they do that? Wood floors can be really expensive to replace. Sometimes if they fix the problem, then you can just refinish them or replace patches and it looks fine. But with a tile floor, if it is tile, and you've got cracked tiles, then you're going to have to replace the entire floor, and that can get really expensive. Then you're going to want to look at the sheetrock in the ceilings. Are the ceilings, do they have any stains on them? Are there any cracks? Small cracks are usually not that big a deal. It's just from normal settling. But larger cracks you're going to want to take a look at. Are there places where they've got fresh paint? What are they covering up? You want to look into that. Cosmetic issues are not a problem. They're easy to fix, but structural issues are not easy. The next thing you're going to want to look at is the windows. Windows are really important, especially here in Iowa. Are they double paned? If they are they fogged up? Is there a problem with the vacuum seal? How do they open and close? Do they open and close easily? Is it hard? If it's hard to open or close, then you might have a bigger problem. Same thing with doors. If you've got large gaps in doorways, then maybe the house has moved more than it should have, and so you're going to want to look at whether or not doors can close, or if you got sticky doors, that kind of thing. And windows are extremely important because especially in the winter here in Iowa, heating and cooling can sometimes cost a lot, especially heating in the winter, and windows really do matter a lot, and they're not cheap to replace, so look out for those. The next thing is the mechanical systems, like for instance, the electric panel. You want to look at that. Is it outdated? Do you think you might need to replace it? Are there wires exposed? A good inspection is going to take care of that kind of thing. They're going to look out for that kind of thing. Before you even make the offer, when you're getting serious about a house, you're going to want to look into these couple of things. Then you're going to want to look at, for instance, the hot water heater. The hot water heater, is it old? Look at the manufacture date. That usually tells you within about a year how long it's been in the house. They usually last 10 to 12 years, depending on what kind it is. Within 10 to 12 years and it looks good, then you're probably in good shape. If it's at the end of that time, maybe 10 or 12 years, then you want to go ahead and plan to replace it. You're probably going to replace it, in the first 3 to 5 years of owning the house, and that can cost a couple of $1,000 depending on what kind you get and what size. The furnace, how does that look? Does it look like it's been well maintained? Is there rust on it? Rust on, corrosion on the pipes or rust on the pipes? You can look at all that stuff and figure out if it's been well maintained, and that's very, very important. They can last a long time, but you want to take a look at it. Also, air handlers, you're going to want to look at them. Sometimes they're inside, sometimes they're outside. Are they rusted? Do they look bad? How do the coils look? Again, all those things, the inspector is going to look at them and give you a detailed report on that. But as you're walking through the house, you're getting excited, you think it might be the right one, and then you look at this stuff and you might need a new electric panel and a new hot water heater and a new air handler. Well, that can cost you quite a bit of money. So look out for those things and you should be in good shape. So as you're thinking about moving to this area, give me a call. I would love to help you find, the perfect community and a great house without all these hidden problems. So give me a call. My contact information is in the description. So the other thing you want to be careful of is flips, DIY. If they are doing it themselves, they may have done it wrong, or maybe they took some shortcuts, or maybe they didn't know they were taking shortcuts. Crooked cabinets, vanities that are not completely attached or not exactly done right, tile that's uneven, floors uneven, bad paint jobs. It's not a big deal. I'm not against flips. In fact, I love them, but just make sure that they're done right and not hiding bigger problems. It costs a lot more to undo a problem than it does to fix that problem initially. So if you have to undo something that was done wrong, it could cost you a lot. So as you're looking through these homes and you start to think, oh man, this one might be the right one, then you're going to want to talk about the seller disclosure. You want to look at it in detail, but you don't want to, it's not a guarantee. It's not 100%. Sometimes they don't tell the whole truth. Sometimes they're downplayed. The seller is supposed to tell you everything that's wrong with the house and things that have been done and things that have not been done, but they're not always 100% guaranteed. So look at them as a guide. I'm going to help you through that. We're going to look at them. We're going to see what is mentioned, and we're going to look at it in detail. And then we're going to look at some of the things that may not have been talked about and that we should look at. All these things that we talked about on this list that I just gave you, we're going to look at all that as you get more and more serious about the house, before you put in an offer, before you fall in love, before you get emotionally attached. We're going to look at all this stuff and make sure that you don't get into a money pit. So as you walk through, maybe you found a couple of these problems. It doesn't mean you walk away from the deal immediately. If it's a great house and a great location, good price, that kind of thing, then you just want to slow down and don't let your emotions take over. Don't let the pretty granite countertops make a decision for you. You want to slow down, ask some questions, and make sure that you get everything answered before you get emotionally attached. And look, this is definitely not, if you think that this list is going to let you see all the problems, you have to get a qualified professional home inspector to inspect the house, always. Anyway, if you have found some of these problems, or maybe you have had some of these problems, you bought a house and it had a problem, cost you lots of money, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about that. It helps other buyers to let them understand that this stuff really does happen. And anyway, I'd love to hear about it and talk about it. Anyway, if you're thinking about moving, I would love to help you. We can find a great community and a house that is not going to break the bank and cause you problems in the future. So anyway, give me a call. Contact information's in the description. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.